best practices, what I can do is just comment. I have two types of best practices listed here. So there's two types of best practices. One of them are process-related ones, particularly using peer reviews. Perform simple tests with your model with certain experiments, and preserve different model versions. So save the model periodically to a new version, just like I have been doing, like this version 4 here. Keep careful track of the experiments and the assumptions, the parameter values associated with them. And if possible, use tools for version control. There's systems Git, G-I-T, and Subversion, which can be very good for maintaining models. If you have multiple people, integrate them with them frequently in small steps, and use these discovery of bugs to identify weaknesses, to identify why didn't we find this bug earlier. It can help you improve your process. Not just a matter of fixing the bug, but asking, well, how did that slip through earlier? Why didn't we notice it? How could we be testing our models so that would be less likely to slip through? Or what sorts of peer review could we do? Having multiple people have eyes on the same model to look it over so that we could find these problems. Or was it the result of misunderstanding, which we could have prevented by spreading information around more? In terms of technical guidelines, start very simple. Proceed in a incremental fashion. Name things carefully. Design and code for variable names. We joked a lot about variable names, but you want to choose careful variable names. Try to log model results if possible with a configurable logger to output data, and without even changing the model, you can simply flip a switch and say output more data or output less data. Try to use defensive programming in the sense of trying to find problems with the model sooner rather than later. There are techniques known as assertions in programming languages. You actually say assert this thing just to be sure your model passes some reasonable tests. One other thing I didn't show you, but I really should make you aware of, you can take a model and generate documentation on it by right-clicking and do generate documentation in the model. So if we had this model, we could have right-checked here, do create documentation. We could say what we want to include in that document and finish it, and it will actually generate a document that systematically lists all the contents of this model, all the assumptions, all the elements of it, the parameter values, the things we've modified about this model will be listed here, including all the state charts. If you're publishing, that can be very valuable information. Okay, start simple, incremental delivery. I've tried to push on that through the week. Peer reviews, incredibly important best practice. You will find videos of me giving whole lectures just on peer reviews. Get multiple eyes on your model early. Get people to look it over, give suggestions. It will spread knowledge. It will find issues within the model. It will help you improve the communicability of the models, the clarity. It will help other people learn what you're doing. Continuous integration, very important, and testing with experiments. Try to build little prototypes of models to try out structuring the model one way versus another if you're not sure what's best. So those are some best practice guidelines. I provided some others too that are more technical in nature in a separate file that I won't go over here, but there's here best practices process-oriented and best practices technical, which gets into some particular ones, including the assertions that you can do. You can put in place an assert that makes sure that this thing is sane, that this model is currently sane. Okay? Naming conventions and the internals of any logic files. Okay, so I think that's all, unfortunately, we have time for.